Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. This is Canadian Retro. I've got my pickups and experience from the Waterloo video game swap. I really wanted to thank Andrew and Pete for setting up this great show, which happened on May the 29th. This was an absolutely phenomenal show, and it really showed as far as like the effort and the time and energy that those two put into making sure that this show goes off without a hitch. And if there were any hiccups or whatever in it, it wasn't really noticed, at least from what I heard from people. Everybody was really impressed with it. Vendors were happy. People were going around with smiles on their faces. Just a phenomenal show. A really great crowd that came through there, and I couldn't be happier with my experience. That's absolutely certain. So thank you again to the both of you for setting up that show and allowing me to vend there, or whatever you like to call it, be a vendor there. Really great times all around. But let me move on a little bit from there. Just a couple things to mention. People were coming from all over the place. When I was asking people where they're coming from, it was pretty amazing some of the distances people had traveled. I know that Adam Koralik came from wherever he is in the States, but I mean, he flew up, to Ontario, to Toronto here in order to go to the Waterloo swap. I know he was meeting up with Pete for some other reasons as well, but one of the things that he came up for was the Waterloo swap. So it was really cool to meet Adam Koralik, because I've never met him in person kind of thing. I've been a subscriber and watched his channel for quite some time, just because he's really informative. And I think I first head over to his channel to check out how to hook up, the best ways to hook up like retro systems, all those kind of details that he was giving out on his channel. And you could really tell that he put a lot of quality and effort into his work on his channel. So I've been like a loyal fan. Whenever he puts up a video, I'm usually watching it, if not commenting on it. So it was really nice to meet him in person finally. That was a wonderful time, but I know he traveled a pretty far distance to get up there, so really it speaks to the quality, I think, of that show, that people are willing to go that extra mile, so to speak, as an expression, but go that extra mile to show up to it. So phenomenal, like I was saying yet again. I want to get into my pickups here, though. I don't want to get too long-winded with the rest of it, but I just wanted to mention, like, the Cartridge Club was pretty much all there, as far as the local guys that are in the Cartridge Club. That I know, the usual suspects were all there. I got my table with a fellow member as well, which was Josh from Creep1337. We sort of bundled tables together with Bowsersfartsack, which is Chris. We sort of, like I said, bundled tables together and got a pretty sweet deal for setting up our table. So I was able to split a table with Josh, which really brought down the price, but also cut down on the real estate as well. But I only really needed half a table, so it was a pretty sweet deal to be able to get everything set up and have a couple of really good guys next to me. Next to us was also CJR, which was wicked. I know that Nintendo Hodge had a table there as well. There's tons of different people that set up various tables, members of the community that I've spoken to before. So really wicked stuff going on there. But let me get into the pickups portion of things, because I know that's what you've all been waiting for. The first one here, I have to thank Derek, who goes by DG13. I'm always trying to remember because the numbers always mess me up, but I know his channel is Two Dorks. I think he has another channel as well. It's a little bit confusing for me, but I think Two Dorks is like the main thing that I'm subscribed to anyways. And he's also been in the Google Hangouts that we do on Tuesday nights, so really cool. And I had been mentioning to him and a variety of other people, and I've gotten a lot of help on this for getting set up for the Extra Life Challenge, which is going to be happening in November. And that's going to be a 24-hour live stream event, which I'm going to be doing from down here in the Retro Dungeon to raise money for sick kids hospitals. And I don't really know what I'm doing with live streaming, so I decided, to sort of reach out to people, and he was one of the people that has really sort of guided me along and gave me some good advice as far as getting set up. I'm sure I could figure it out, but it's really nice when you get hands-on recommendations for people, because you go online, you check out the videos and stuff like that, and you never know like people's alternate sort of motives for doing things, kind of thing. And it's really nice to get some sort of hands-on advice that you can trust. And Derek was talking to me, and this is something that he recommended that I get, and I said locally people were wanting $100 for it, and he said sometimes in his area they come up for about $50 used, kind of thing. So what he got me though, and it's all complete in the box and everything like that, which is really cool, is the Elgato Game Capture HD. You can tell that it's been used and everything. It's a little bit scuffed up, the system inside it, but he tested it out and said it worked flawlessly. So that's really cool, because that's going to get me well on my road to streaming that Extra Life Challenge, which if you haven't checked out, go back to the start of the video, and if you could, donate a couple of dollars. I'd really appreciate it toward the cause kind of thing. But that donation doesn't go to me, that goes directly to, you know, the sick kids kind of thing. But that's where I'm at with it, and this is sort of one step closer to me getting ready for the live stream in November. And you can probably expect a few live streams from me on Twitch, just me trying to get things set up and get all the kinks out before November shows up, so I can do that sort of 24 hours like non-stop kind of thing. So that's really cool there. He got me set up for that. He found it locally for a really good deal, about half of what I paid for it, or what I would have paid for it in my area. So really nice. Thank you very much for being on the lookout for me. And then also something else that he set me up with, and I'm trying to remember what we did about this. I can't remember if I paid him for it or if we did a trade for it. I can't remember exactly how this worked out, just because there were a lot of dealings going on that day. But I ended up from him with The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, which has 4 swords on it as well. And I tested it out and it works great, and it's really in great shape and nicely cleaned. So thanks again, Derek, for that one as well. This is something I didn't have in my collection, so I'm super pumped to add it in. It's kind of neat to have you know, A Link to the Past on the go kind of thing. So pretty cool all around. And then I'm trying to remember what order all this stuff came in, but I think this one was next. Miles from Flock of Nerds brought a bag of like trade goodies kind of thing to the show, and this one here is something that he had in his bag of trick sort of thing. And I think the way that it worked out was this was a trade, just basically credit at my table kind of thing. So you got like I think a discount off of a game that you wanted from my table. I can't remember exactly what he picked up, but I'm sure it'll come out like in his video kind of thing. But the one I got from him was Family Dog. I don't really know a whole lot about this one on the Super Nintendo, but I don't really know a whole lot about this title, but I didn't have it in my collection, and I figured if he's trying to unload it and it's something I didn't have, then, you know, I'm more than happy to make a trade to make, you know, the wallet a little bit easier on the wallet kind of thing for him when he's shopping at my table. So I picked that out of the stack of things that he had. I'll check it out and see what it's all about, but looks pretty interesting nonetheless. And then I'm trying to remember again the order of this. I think this one came next. This was a trade, and I am trying to recall for the life of me who traded this to me. I think it was another YouTuber, but I totally can't remember for some reason. I think it was a busy moment in the vending kind of thing. There were some long stretches where it wasn't really too busy at my table, but then there'd be other times where things were getting pretty smoked. So I think it was sort of one of those moments when I was getting kind of smoked, so I can't totally remember how this trade worked out, but I do remember what I traded for it, which was a Pokemon trading card game, and I ended up getting this with the plastic case as well, and it's Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which I already have in my collection. I was really just trying to help the other person out. They said they didn't have that other game, that other Pokemon game, and I was like, you know what, I'm not really interested in holding on to it, so, you know, if you want to trade that for it, I'm perfectly happy to do that. So I already sold one of these earlier at the swap, so I'll just have that again for trade or sale a little later on as well. So, you know, as long as I could help somebody else out, perfectly fine with that. And I came with a nice protective case, which is always pretty sweet right there. The next one here I got from Josh from Creep1337, so this was pretty cool. First thing that we did trade for, and I can't remember exactly how this all worked out. There was like money involved at some point, and then there was like this, that, and the next thing, so I can't remember exactly how it all worked out, but at the time it totally made sense. But to begin with, this is the first one. I got the Legendary Starfy from him for the DS. This is something that I think was on like a Hidden Gem video. Metal Jesus Rocks suggested this one, or Kinsey or somebody on his channel that shows up on his channel kind of thing recommended this one. I'm fairly certain of it, and so, you know, I decided to pick it up from him and check it out for myself. Josh didn't have the kindest words to say about this game. I think he said it was a pretty solid game, but had some flaws that he didn't particularly like, or some things about it that he wasn't particularly satisfied with. But for me, I'm gonna check it out. It comes with recommendations from other people, so I'm gonna definitely see what this is all about, and it's totally complete, which is really nice. And I don't always add a lot to my DS collection, so this is gonna be something that, you know, will be a nice addition to the collection, because I'm not totally going nuts on the DS. And then another one, at the start of the show I mentioned it to him because it's one game for the NES that I did not have in my collection, which would seem kind of weird because it's not exactly like it's an uncommon game. But but I did not have it in my collection. So I saw it at the start of the show, like I was saying there. I began to say, and then I got a little sidetracked. But saw it, like I said, at the start of the show, and said, you know, if this is around, you know, near the end of the show, we'll work something out for it. And we ended up doing that. And I got Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, which finishes my Castlevania set that I needed for the NES. So I got the 3 of them now. Really sweet to finally get this one nice and clean too. Thanks again, Josh, for taking good care of your stuff. But yeah, like I said, I needed this one to complete my subset of on the NES for Castlevania games. So really cool right there. This is the one that I believe, I'm trying to remember back, but this is probably the Castlevania game that I put the most time into. I don't think I ever figured out the whole whirlwind trick kneeling by the one side of the screen kind of thing. I don't think I ever figured that part out, but sunk lots of hours into this one back in the day, so pretty stoked to get that one back in the collection, because that's sort of like a nostalgia game for me for sure. Pretty cool. So thanks for the deal on that one, Josh. That's pretty sweet. Alright, so the last one here is something that I really wanted to add in my collection for a very long time, and that is Tetris and Dr. Mario for the Super Nintendo. This was the one game that I actually purchased at the swap meet. I mean, I probably purchased some of those other things, but this is one of the ones that I actually went around the swap meet to find. These other things all came to my table. People brought them to my table, but this one here was something that I found out there at the very end of the show when you know, a lot of the deals are already gone, although people are willing to wheel and deal to unload some games at the end, sort of thing. This is sort of the moment that, you know, I went out and sought this one out. So I wasn't really on the look necessarily for anything in particular when I went looking, but I did spot this and I knew it was on my want list. It was one of the things that I really wanted to add to my collection. I actually had a deal in the works, but it's never really worked out yet, so I just kind of like decided to pull the trigger on it this time around. When I ran around the table, the vendor said for this one that they wanted $20 for it. I said I'd be back, and I sort of did like a little bit of a lap, went back and got some cash as well, so I didn't want to pay definitely 20 for it. I offered them 15, and then I wanted to make sure I had 15 on me. I didn't want to hand them a $20 bill after talking them down. It's just kind of a strange maneuver, I think, to do, is like talk someone down $2.15 from 20 when you got a $20 bill. It just seems a little bit weird to me. So, you know, I went back, got, you know, the proper amount of money, went back, offered them 15, and they took it. So I ended up getting this for 15, which is really good, because at different tables I saw it sitting at, some people wanted upwards of $35 for it, $35 for this game. Don't totally know why. I think it definitely doesn't sell for that, you know, on the eBay or anything like that. So still, definitely not going to get this to my front door for 15 bucks. So really happy to score that deal and able to talk the vendor out of it. It's kind of funny because it didn't have a price sticker on it, and I asked him how much it was, and he said, oh, it doesn't have a price sticker because it was a trade-in kind of thing. It was just put in the case after the fact, but whoever had it previously, like, it's in absolutely immaculate shape. So really pleased to pick that one up for 15. I couldn't ask for a better deal for this title. So that's everything I have for you from the Waterloo video game swap. Definitely in the next couple of days, check out YouTube for lots of different footage coming from different people. I know that Mario Madness and the Retrolectors have both put up videos so far showing, you know, different shots of the floor. I know my videos that I took, the sort of footage that I took from the floor, it wasn't really that great, just because I was sort of doing that from my table. I couldn't really get it from behind my table too much to get around the swap meet or whatever to record like the different games and all that stuff. But I know that those guys do have some pretty good footage that you should check out, so I'll put links to that just so you guys can see a little bit better perspective. I think the collector perspective of taking a look at all the games, the experience of going through the Waterloo swap. But thanks again to Pete and Andrew as well for setting this up. A really amazing show as per usual. I would expect nothing less, and you can tell these guys put a ton of effort into making sure that everything goes smooth, and it definitely did, at least from my perspective. If there were some hiccups or problems, I didn't notice them, or they were definitely hidden from me. So thanks again, guys, so much for that, and I look forward to the next one. I don't know if I'll definitely be vending at the next one, but I know I'll be in attendance, and I'll always go to the Waterloo Video Game Swap because it is the premier trading spot and swap meet for video games that you're ever gonna see. So thanks again for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Feel free to thumbs up this video, comment down below, and I will see you all later.